What's up, hustlers? Your boy JT Automations back in another video. Here again with Miss Sheena. We've done a couple of videos on this channel. If you missed them, they'll be linked down in the description below. So we're going to keep this series going. We're talking about doing government contracting. Specifically in this video though, I'm a veteran. She's also a veteran. She's a retired veteran as well. So I want to kind of tailor this video to the men and women out there, whether you're active duty, whether you're a veteran, whether you still are somebody that's thinking about joining the military, because I do know that some people that watch this channel are a little bit younger as well. So all of that and more right after the intro.
Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Here on the Sheenapreneur channel, I share information about government contracting, veteran business content, and other business tips.
I do understand, but I just want you to clarify on it that there is some advantages of being a veteran as it pertains to government contracting. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so with federal, they have a set aside. They have the veteran-owned small business is VOSB, and then the service-disabled veteran-owned small business.
What's a set aside? Cause we gonna,
okay,
yeah,
so
we gotta take it super slow for me. All right.
So a set aside is the government has contracts that they give to anyone in the world essentially, but then they have a set aside percentage that they have for each of these categories. One being veteran owned, and so the service disabled veteran owned is like 3% of all federal contracts go to a service disabled veteran owned small business. Okay. And the same thing with local. There's some local counties and cities that have their own designation where you can just check off the box and say I'm a veteran owned business or a woman owned business, and they'll show preference to you. Same thing with corporate side. So corporate side, you have to pay for those certifications, but they do have veteran owned, women-owned, and minority-owned certifications. Okay,
all right. So somebody that is a veteran that wants to get into government contracting, but like we talked about in previous videos, what if because of their disability or because of the nature of the contract, they personally can't do all of the work themselves? If somebody is a veteran and gets a contract, does that mean that they have to do it themselves, or can they hire non-veterans and still do the contract?
That's a really good question as far as hiring non-veterans. It really just depends on the contract. Okay. I would lean on the side of yes, you should be able to hire as employees, non-veteran employees or subcontractors, but it really depends. There's certain industries where you can only sub out a percentage of what the contract is. Okay. So the middleman thing, like be really, really careful when people say do middleman, but especially when it comes to a set-aside contract, you can only sub out a certain percentage. So you don't have to do all the work yourself, but you just have to read the contract or the solicitation to see what the criteria is. Okay,
so just for clarity too, because I heard the term that you just used, so you're saying that the contract, whatever it is, will say you can outsource, I guess, this percentage of it before we jump into it?
It won't say it.
Oh, okay.
So you have to know the FAR, and that's the Federal Acquisition Regulation, something like that. Okay. So you have to know the FAR because depending on what industry, it will automatically say you can only sub out a certain percentage. But in the contract or solicitation as well, it may say you cannot subcontract any work. Okay. It may say that. It just depends on what it is. So you have to really, really pay attention. And it's really tricky when you have people do the work for you and they don't really know when they're submitting contracts for you or submitting bids for you. You have to know what they're asking, because if you know you have a physical disability and you cannot do the work, or you just don't have the skill to do the work, and you're like, I'm just going to bid on this contract and see if I win, and then find out that you can't sub it or you can't use certain types of employees, and you'll be in trouble.
Okay, yeah. All right. So, and I'm only competing with other veterans if I go for that particular contract, right?
Correct.
All right. Does it matter how I got out of the service? So, do I have to be honorable? If it's other than honorable, like, does that come into play? Just for anybody out there that may have gotten out with less than honorable. Yeah,
I've never gotten that question before. That's a great question. No, it's only your disability. 0% through 100%. That's it. That's the only thing that matters.
Okay, so there's different contracts based off of your percentage, or you can have 0%, so you don't have to be disabled at all, and you just being a veteran, there are certain contracts that are allocated for you.
Correct. And usually at the Veteran Affairs Hospital. So just to be clear, most SDVOSB set-asides are Veteran Affairs Hospital contracts. Most like,
Okay.
just yeah.
As somebody that has seen a lot of contracts, do you mind giving us an example, just for those of you that are watching? Is it like is it like cutting the grass at the hospital, or
At
taking
the
the trash?
graveyard, like
Oh.
I've seen those where at the cemetery for veterans, they have plenty of contracts for that. Construction at the Veteran Affairs, cleaning, like I was saying about my friend that did the COVID cleanings, anything, just like any other building, anything that our building would need, and especially these are older buildings. Like I've bid on contracts for pressure washing for some of the buildings on a base.
Okay.
So it can be anything.
All right. And if you guys missed the previous video, because she referenced her friend got $1 million contract 9 months in, and she started with no money, and she was a sub, so she was getting paid every 2 weeks. So she literally could go out, find people in 48 hours or less, and start making money with that. So full video is linked down in the description below if you want details on that. All right. So why would you, or if somebody asks, out there, why would you recommend veterans to look into government contracting? We talked a little bit about this offline, but just for the veterans that are watching, we're talking about how there are VA benefits like the disabilities, and if you know somebody who is service-connected disabled, I personally know Vietnam vets that have been fighting for their percentage ever since Vietnam, right? And they still haven't gotten what they feel is adequate for what they went through. So I say that to say that I know that a lot of people, they know that these things are out there for veterans, but they feel like, man, that's impossible to get. You'll fight for it all day and not get it. So can you give some words of encouragement to veterans to get into government contracting?
Well, I guess as a sidebar, just always fight for your disability through the VA. Like always, 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 even you. But definitely take advantage of it, because even with the service-able veteran-owned set-aside designation, a lot of times they don't have enough veterans to bid. I actually have a pending contract right now. It's a pretty high seven-figure contract that's pending. There was only 2 of us that bid.
Okay.
So it's like they have to use the rule of 2, or they have to put it out on the economy.
What's the rule of 2?
The rule of 2, they have to have 2 veterans bid on the contract in order for it to be a set-aside for veteran-owned. So if only one person get in, let's say you can do sole sourcing, but that's a whole nother topic. But if there's no 2 veteran-owned companies that bid on something, then they'll just put it out for any company to get, like the big companies, which is unfortunate, because the premise of this is for small businesses to have a seat at the table and be able to make 7-8 figures. Like that's what we most of the time subscribe to. So definitely get your certification, because it's free. I mean, you can pay someone to do it, that's fine, but it's free to get, and it's not that hard. You just go through the site and register and get your certification, and then it starts a conversation too, because even if you're at a conference, you want to get your feet wet and understand how government contracting works, and you're at a conference and you're like, yeah, I have my SDVOSB certification, people are just so impressed with that, because people love veterans, and most people, you either were in the military or you weren't. So it's not like getting one of the other certifications. Like most people are not in the military or were not in, so it's a very special certification.
Okay. All right. Last question that I have for you. Well, we gonna say this the second to last one, because I want to talk about your training. But before we get into the training talk, for somebody out there that is super interested in this, they are a veteran, they want to take advantage of these opportunities to start a business, scale their business, but they're worried about the consistency of it, because they don't want to jump into something and make sacrifices for what they may consider to be short money. So are these contracts, do you think, are they profitable, and do they last, multiple years, or is it more like this year you can make good money cutting the grass at the veteran cemetery, but next year you need to find something else to do?
They have multi-year contracts. Almost all of mine, probably all of mine, are multi-year contracts. So you can get multi-year, and then for me personally, like I'm gonna continue to bid. I'm gonna continue to network. Some people just do one contract at a time. That's cool too if that works for you, because some of the money will take you for a year. If you're making $1 million in 6 months, but last year you were making 30,000, I'm pretty sure $1 million can take you, through the whole year if you're making enough in profit. So it really, for me, I continue to bid, and I continue to try to get contracts whenever they come and just manage it. So you just keep on going. I guess that's one of the main things.
All right. So do you mind sharing with us, and if those of you out there, if you want a dedicated video on bidding, put it down in the comment section below, and we'll talk about it only if it's valuable to you all, so let us know. But do you mind telling us about your training? So she does have a full training. So if you are somebody out there, you're interested in government contracting, you looked at the other videos and you say, hey, listen, I'm serious about this, but I want to know where to go, what to fill out, how to bid, how to get this money, or how to position myself in the best way to get this money. Sheena has been doing it for years, trains people to do it as well. And I tell people all the time, if you're looking for what to do, like people hit me up and say, I got $1,000, I got $10,000 or whatever. I tell people, if you have that money and looking for the first thing to invest in your financial literacy. So that's something that nobody can ever take away from you. You can learn government contracting from Sheena. You can teach your kids, your grandkids. You can build generational wealth, because literally your client is the government. So as long as there's a government, you have a client that you can make money off of. So this is an investment that you can make that can bring you money for generations to come, right? So do you mind telling us what they'll learn and about your training program?
Yeah.
And all of that good stuff.
All that good stuff. So my course is GovCon for Winners, and I teach people to be 3-tier contractors. So I take you all the way from cradle to wedding instead of cradle to grave, where if you don't have a business, I teach you how to set up your business and how to have a corporate name and bonding and insurance and licenses and stuff like that. And then I take you through the whole federal process, setting up to include any RFPs that I have that are actually been awarded, where they've been given money. Take you through local contracting, where I teach you how to network and how to build relationships with some of your local agencies, and you can get contracts that way. They have millions of dollars as well. And then I take you through corporate contracting, where it's the same but different, where you can have contracts with like AT&T and Boeing and Coca-Cola, and it's the same as the government as far as like set-asides and certifications. And I have stuff for my veterans as well.
All right, so if you guys are interested in all of that, click the links down in the description below. Follow her on her social media. And until next time, tell my hustlers, stay hustling. JT Automations, I'm gone.